All right, hey, this is Dr. Graves from CSUN Geography Department. This is video tutorial part 1 for the Zombie Lab. To begin, make sure you point your browser to mycsunsoftware.edu, and that should launch the logon window. Put your username and your password in, click log on. I'm logging on today using Google's Chrome browser. It may work best for you or it may not, depending on your particular combination of browser and operating system. This window will appear. Click on the ArcGIS folder. Click on the ArcMap icon. A launch.ica button appears here at the bottom. I click this and it will begin the Citrix client. Sometimes this takes only moments and sometimes it takes a little longer. Citrix client notification window appears. Select permit use. And ArcMap after a minute or so launches. For most of you, you will click cancel here. Unless you're returning, then you may launch one of your earlier attempts. I'm clicking cancel. Go to File, Open. When this window appears, click on Computer and click on the Geog Share drive. Double click on it. Double click on Geography 107, double click on Zombie folder, and double click on the word zombies to launch the project. Take a moment to examine the various layers at your disposal. For the first time, you are seeing both raster and vector layers. The vector layers are those things like the Taco Bells, the highway layers, the zip code layers that you see here, the county layers. These are either in points, lines, or polygon features. I'm going to turn some of those off so we can take a look at quickly some of the raster layers. The best raster layer to examine is the elevation layer. As I zoom in very closely, you can see these small squares, and each of these squares can be identified. They're 30 meters by 30 meters, and each of them has a value associated with an elevation. So this is, I suppose, 1,400 meters. Click somewhere else, 1,600 meters as we go up in elevation. Some of the areas that are really quite high near Mount Baldy, nearly 2,400 meters, but then as I zoom out and we take a look at some of the lower areas, only 784 meters above sea level. This is different than, say, if we turn on the zip code layer and we click here on Palmdale. It's the topmost layer, so it appears in the identify box, and here is a wealth of information associated with this particular vector polygon. The same thing applies to a highway. If we click on the highway, which is now the top layer, both Sierra Highway and California 14 show up, and some information about it. So I'm going to urge you to read the section in the lab manual about the differences between raster and vector maps. And then you will answer some questions in Moodle. I'm going to click on the full extent button, the little globe, to zoom back out to the full extent. I will turn on some of the other layers that I had previously turned off. to get us back to where we were. So the first part of this analysis is to examine, I'm going to zoom in here on Santa Clarita, and here's a affected Taco Bell, and these rings of orange and lighter orange and yellow represent the distance zombies in automobiles, I guess before they became zombies, would travel in 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the lighter orange, and 15 minutes in the yellow. This was done using something called drive time analysis, which is not a feature available in the online version of GIS that we're using. Note that 15-minute drive from this Taco Bell here spills all the way over here into Chatsworth and partially obscures the 5-minute drive ring for the Taco Bell number 13. So many of these places are exposed to higher risk because they get zombies or infections from not only their local Taco Bell, which is easy to see here in Santa Clarita, but in the valley where there are multiple Taco Bells, that they get overlapping zombies from not only their local Taco Bell, but nearby ones. So this map, the initial infection zones map, was used to create for you an initial survival percent map. So you notice that this map looks very similar, except that in some areas the initial survival percent drops quite dramatically, particularly down here in near the Orange County border, where there are lots of Taco Bells nearby, and the number of overlapping infections reduces the initial survival percent to 50%. Your part of the analysis begins now, and what you are going to do is to turn on the large enclosed mall layer. Click here, and notice that there is a large enclosed mall here, the Stonewood Center, and then the Lakewood Center. We're going to turn back on the initial infection zones map, and we can turn off, at least momentarily, the initial survival percent map. And what you are going to do is to determine which of the large enclosed malls are within a 5 or 10-minute drive of an affected Taco Bell. To do this, you will right-click on the initial infection zones layer, open the attribute table, move the attribute table to where you can see it, right-click on the word ring, and choose Sort Ascending from the drop-down menu. Note that the first and second rings, which represent 0 to 5 minute drive and 0 to 10 minute drives, appear. What I want you to do is to find the last two in this list, go over to the little gray square boxes to the left of the Object ID column, and click down and drag up simultaneously. Click and drag until all of the rings 1 and 2 are highlighted, and then you can close this attribute table. But note that then all of the 5 and 10 minute drive time rings are highlighted. The next step is to click Selection, select by location, select large enclosed malls, and a source layer will be initial infection zones. So basically you're telling it to find all the large enclosed malls that are within or intersect the selected initial infection zones. Click OK, and you will notice that some of the malls that are near affected Taco Bells are highlighted in light blue. If we turn the initial infection zone layer off, you can still see these are highlighted. And we will pause at this moment and let you answer a couple of questions in Moodle about the steps you just completed. This completes the video tutorial part 1 for this.